We are anonymous. We do not forget. We do not forgive. And we do not stay silent when corruption reveals its cracks, when power begins to crumble from within, and when the architects of political chaos prepare their escape routes while telling the public everything is under control. Tonight, we expose something that Mike Johnson never wanted you to see. Something that reveals the true state of panic inside the Republican Party. Something that proves the Speaker of the House knows his time is running out. We have obtained information about a resignation letter. A letter Mike Johnson has already drafted. A letter he keeps hidden, waiting for the moment when everything collapses. A letter that proves he knows the Republican majority is on borrowed time, that Trump's movement is fracturing, and that his speakership could end not with a battle, but with a quiet surrender. What you are about to hear is the full investigation, the evidence, the timeline, the chaos, and the truth they desperately want to bury. Mike Johnson stands before cameras with forced confidence. He smiles, he nods, he speaks about unity and strength. But behind closed doors, sources confirm he is preparing for the worst. Congressional insiders speaking to multiple outlets have described a speaker who understands the mathematics of his own demise. A speaker who watches each resignation, each scandal, each special election with growing dread. A speaker who knows that one wrong move, one more departure, one more unexpected loss could end everything. The resignation letter exists because Mike Johnson is not stupid. He sees the numbers. He understands that the Republican majority in the House is razor thin. He knows that every MAGA lawmaker who quits, every congressman who retires, every special election that goes wrong tears another hole in the fragile fabric holding his power together. And he knows that when a speaker loses the majority, there is no negotiation. There is no compromise. There is only defeat. This is the story of a man who publicly proclaims strength while privately preparing for surrender. This is the story of a political movement eating itself alive. This is the story of how Donald Trump's Republican Party is collapsing, and how the Speaker of the House already knows it. Let us start at the beginning. When Mike Johnson became Speaker of the House, it was supposed to be a new chapter for Republicans. After the chaos of Kevin McCarthy's removal, after the embarrassing weeks of failed votes and public infighting, Johnson was presented as a fresh start, a quiet, steady hand, a man who could unite the fractured party and deliver results. But from the very first day, the cracks were visible. Johnson inherited a majority so thin that every single vote matters. Every absence creates crisis. Every resignation creates chaos. Every scandal creates vulnerability. And the MAGA movement, built on rage rather than governance, was never designed for the delicate work of maintaining power through cooperation and discipline. We watched as Johnson tried to navigate impossible contradictions. He needed to satisfy Trump's most extreme demands while somehow convincing moderate Republicans to stay. He needed to pass legislation while managing a caucus that treats compromise as betrayal. He needed to project confidence while watching his majority shrink with each passing month. The first major warning came when Republican lawmakers started announcing they would not seek re-election. Political analysts from Reuters and Bloomberg noted an unusual pattern. Members in swing districts began quietly stepping aside. Members with ethics concerns began accelerating their retirement timelines. Members who once championed Trump began distancing themselves from his rhetoric. Johnson noticed, and according to sources familiar with his thinking, Johnson began preparing. The resignation letter was not written in a moment of desperation. It was written in a moment of clarity. A moment when the Speaker looked at the electoral map, looked at the special election calendar, looked at the retirement announcements, and understood that the collapse was not a possibility, but a probability. The only question was timing. Then came the resignation that shook everything. Congressman Troy Nehls, a hardcore MAGA loyalist, a Trump foot soldier who built his political identity on unwavering support for the former president, announced he would not seek re-election. The announcement came with the typical political language. He talked about family. He talked about service. He talked about 6 years in Congress and the honor of representing his constituents. But the timing told a different story. Troy Nehls announced his departure precisely when his pension fully vested, precisely when his lifetime taxpayer-funded health care became permanent, precisely when securing his personal financial future no longer required him to remain in Congress. The coincidence was too perfect to ignore. We examined the timeline. We reviewed the reports. We analyzed the public statements and the private calculations. And the truth became undeniable. Troy Nehls was not leaving because of principle. He was leaving because he got what he came for. The mission was complete. The benefits were secured. The exit was timed for maximum personal advantage. But that was not all. MSNBC's Jesse Rodriguez reminded the country of something the mainstream narrative had conveniently forgotten. Troy Nehls was investigated for allegedly using campaign funds to pay rent to his own company. The investigation raised serious questions about financial impropriety. And suddenly, mere months after these ethics concerns emerged, Nehls retired the moment his benefits locked in. Connect the dots. A lawmaker under investigation suddenly decides to leave politics right when his pension becomes untouchable. A congressman facing questions about misusing donor money decides family is more important than public service, right when his health care becomes permanent. The pattern is not subtle. The motivation is not hidden. The calculation is not complicated. And for Mike Johnson, the Nehls resignation was not just a political inconvenience. It was an existential threat. With Nehls gone, the Republican majority became even thinner. Every departure now carries catastrophic weight. Every special election becomes a potential turning point. Every health issue, every scandal, every sudden retirement becomes a potential trigger for total collapse. AP News, CNN, and Punch Bowl News all confirmed the mathematics. If Republicans lose even 2 or 3 more members, Mike Johnson could lose the majority entirely. And when a speaker loses the majority, the speakership ends. There is no graceful transition. There is no honorable stepping aside. There is simply replacement by whoever commands the new majority. This is why the resignation letter exists. Mike Johnson understands that his speakership is not guaranteed for the full term. He understands that the next resignation, the next scandal, the next special election loss could be the trigger. And he understands that when that moment comes, he needs to be ready. Sources describe a document that acknowledges the political realities. A letter that speaks of service and accomplishment, while carefully avoiding blame. A letter designed to preserve dignity in defeat. A letter written by a man who sees the ending approaching and wants to control the narrative when it arrives. But the Nehls resignation was only part of the story. The Tennessee special election revealed something even more alarming for Republicans. Tennessee's 7th congressional district was supposed to be safe territory. Donald Trump carried the district by 22 points. The demographics favored Republicans. The political history favored Republicans. Everything about the district screamed easy victory. But that is not what happened. Democratic candidate Afton Bain, a state representative running on affordability and democracy, transformed the race into a genuine contest. She drew large crowds. She generated enthusiasm. She forced Republicans to spend millions of dollars defending territory that should have required no defense. Mike Johnson himself rushed to Tennessee. He brought his cell phone and held it up for crowds to hear Donald Trump's voice. He wore a jacket with 47 on the side, physically branding himself with Trump's number. He begged voters to show up. He warned that every single vote would count. He pleaded with Republicans not to take victory for granted. The desperation was visible. The panic was audible. The Speaker of the House flew to a supposedly safe district to personally campaign because the internal polling showed something terrifying. The race was close. Closer than it should have been. Closer than anyone expected. Closer than Republicans could afford. When reporters asked the White House about additional resignations, the response was telling. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt acknowledged that Trump maintains relationships with most Republican lawmakers. She noted the slim majority. She emphasized that the president wants the majority to continue. But notice what she did not say. She did not dismiss the possibility of more resignations. She did not guarantee stability. She did not provide assurance that the Republican coalition would hold together. The absence of confidence spoke louder than the words offered, and the polling data confirmed the collapse. Gallup, the longest-running poll in American political history, showed Trump's approval rating plummeting. In January, his net approval was -1 point, essentially breaking even. But the latest numbers showed -24 points, a drop of over 20 points in the wrong direction. The second worst number for any president at this point in their second term since the 1940s. Only Richard Nixon was worse, and Richard Nixon resigned less than a year after hitting similar numbers. CNN's John Avlon walked through the comparison methodically. Every president in modern history performed better at this point in their second term. Dwight Eisenhower was +31. Ronald Reagan was +41. Even unpopular presidents like George W. Bush were at -19, still better than Trump's -24. The historical parallel to Nixon was impossible to ignore. Republicans see these numbers. They see the direction of the trend. They see the political danger of remaining tied to a sinking ship, and they are making calculations about their own survival. This is why more resignations are coming. Congressional analysts from multiple outlets have reported that Republican strategists are privately discussing what they call post-Trump survival planning. Members in swing districts are weighing whether to seek re-election at all. Members with ethics concerns are calculating whether to leave now or face investigations later. Members who once believed in Trump's political invincibility are recognizing that invincibility was always an illusion. The resignation letter Mike Johnson prepared is not paranoia, it is prudence. He understands that his speakership depends on factors beyond his control. He understands that each MAGA implosion, each special election, each retirement brings him closer to the moment when the mathematics become impossible, and that moment may arrive sooner than anyone expects. Consider what happens if Democrats win enough special elections and capitalize on enough Republican departures to temporarily hold a technical majority. Congressional rules are clear. The majority party selects the speaker. If Democrats hold the majority, even briefly, even by a single vote, Hakeem Jeffries becomes Speaker of the House. Imagine Trump's nightmare scenario. The man he mocked, belittled, and dismissed takes the gavel because Trump's own movement collapsed under the weight of its dysfunction. The irony would be devastating, the symbolism would be permanent, the humiliation would be complete. This is not fantasy, this is mathematics. And the mathematics are increasingly unfavorable for Republicans. The Washington Post reported that Trump's campaign operation is burning through donor money at unsustainable rates. Donors are frustrated because contributions meant for campaigning are instead paying endless legal fees. The New York Times documented financial vulnerabilities across Trump's business empire. Forbes and Bloomberg confirmed the pattern. The money problems are real. The donor fatigue is real. The sustainability concerns are real. And then there are the cognitive concerns. Fox News analysts have quietly admitted that Trump's mental sharpness is not what it used to be. In public appearances, he slurs words. He stumbles through speeches. He confuses world leaders and mixes up countries. He forgets what he is talking about and rambles into incoherent tangents. Even conservative commentators have begun expressing concern about his physical and cognitive decline. Republicans see all of this. They see Trump's legal troubles mounting. They see the criminal charges that remain unresolved. They see the civil fraud rulings that cost him hundreds of millions. They see the financial penalties accumulating. They see the lost court battles piling up. They see the polls showing suburban voters rejecting him, young voters mocking him, women voters fleeing him, and independents turning against him. The pattern is undeniable. The trajectory is clear. The decline is accelerating. This is why we say Mike Johnson's resignation letter is not speculation, it is preparation. He knows what is coming. He knows the forces that are building. He knows that Trumpism was never built to last. It was built on fear, not loyalty. Rage, not stability. Chaos, not governance. Fear-based movements collapse when the leader loses power. Rage-based movements burn themselves out. Chaos-based movements cannot govern sustainably. And Trump's movement is experiencing all three failures simultaneously. The Republican Party is learning a painful lesson. Trumpism was never a stable ideology. It was a cult of personality tied directly to one man's ego. When that ego weakens, the entire structure falls apart. When that man faces legal consequences, financial penalties, and cognitive decline, the movement built around him begins to disintegrate. We have documented the resignation announcements. We have tracked the special election results. We have analyzed the polling trajectories. We have examined the donor frustrations. We have reviewed the internal communications and the external reporting. And the conclusion is inescapable. The Republican majority is dying. Mike Johnson knows it. Trump knows it. The smart money in Washington knows it. The only people who do not know it are the loyal followers who still believe the propaganda, who still trust the lies, who still think their leaders are strong when their leaders are preparing escape routes. The resignation letter exists because Mike Johnson is not foolish enough to believe his own rhetoric. He tells the public that Republicans are unified and strong. He tells the cameras that the agenda is succeeding. He tells the base that victory is assured. But privately, he prepares for defeat. Privately, he drafts the language he will use when the moment comes. Privately, he ensures that his exit will be controlled rather than chaotic. This is the truth they do not want you to see. The public confidence is performance. The private preparations are reality. The speeches about strength are propaganda. The resignation letter is truth. And now let us examine what happens next. If the Republican majority collapses before the 2026 midterms, the consequences would be transformative. A Democratic House could launch investigations into the Trump administration's actions. A Democratic House could subpoena documents that Republicans have blocked. A Democratic House could hold hearings on the abuses of power that have been covered up. Mike Johnson himself warned about this possibility. In public statements, he acknowledged that if Democrats take the majority, they would move to impeach Trump. He said the president would not get 4 years but only 2. He admitted that Democrats would systematically unwind the policies his party implemented. These are not our words. These are Mike Johnson's words. He is telling you exactly what he fears. He is telling you exactly what he believes is coming. He is telling you exactly why he needs every special election, every vote, every member to hold the line. But the line is not holding. The resignations continue. The retirements accelerate. The special elections grow more competitive. The polling shows collapse. The trends point toward disaster. Consider what we know about the Trump economic impact. One Trump voter admitted publicly that his business collapsed by 70% comparing the first quarter of 2024 to the first quarter of 2025. 70%. He explained how Trump's tariffs caused prices on imported goods to skyrocket overnight. Pens, pencils, mugs, keychains, calculators, rubber ducks, poker chips, hats. Everything he imported from China jumped in cost immediately. This voter had orders frozen. Inventory stalled, revenue evaporating, and you could hear it in his voice. The slow realization that Trump's economic promises were nothing more than slogans designed to sound tough, but completely detached from economic reality. Multiply this experience across thousands of small businesses. Multiply it across farming communities hit by tariff retaliation. Multiply it across manufacturing regions losing jobs to trade wars. Multiply it across every American paying higher prices for everyday goods. The economic pain is real. The voter frustration is real. The political consequences are real. This is why Republicans in swing districts are reconsidering their futures. This is why special elections in supposedly safe districts are becoming competitive. This is why the margin keeps shrinking. This is why Mike Johnson has a resignation letter prepared. The American people are waking up. They are seeing the chaos. They are feeling the pain. They are recognizing the lies, and they are ready to vote. When we reviewed the documents, the truth was undeniable. When we examined the patterns, the trajectory was clear. When we connected the resignations, the retirements, the polling, the finances, and the internal panic, the picture was complete. Mike Johnson already knows how this ends. The resignation letter proves it. He is not planning for victory. He is preparing for defeat. He is not confident in the majority. He is terrified of losing it. He is not leading a unified party. He is managing a collapsing coalition. The most explosive revelation is not just that the letter exists, it is what the letter represents. A speaker who believes in his public statements does not prepare resignation language. A leader confident in his position does not draft exit strategies. A politician certain of victory does not plan for surrender. Mike Johnson's resignation letter is an admission that everything he says publicly is performance, an admission that the internal numbers are worse than the external messaging, an admission that the Republican Party is weaker than it appears. And that brings us to the moment we are living in. Every day brings new revelations of dysfunction. Every week brings new evidence of collapse. Every month brings the midterms closer and the majority more fragile. The question is not whether the Republican coalition will fracture. The question is when. The question is not whether Mike Johnson's speakership will end. The question is how. Will it end through electoral defeat in 2026? Will it end through accumulated resignations and special election losses before then? Will it end through internal rebellion as MAGA extremists demand purity and moderates demand sanity? Will it end through some combination of all these forces? We cannot predict the exact mechanism, but we can tell you what the evidence shows. We can tell you what the patterns reveal. We can tell you what the resignation letter means. It means the end is coming. It means the leadership knows it. It means the preparations are already underway. To the American people watching this message, we say this: share what you have learned. Spread the truth. Do not let them control the narrative. Do not let them pretend strength when they are preparing for defeat. Do not let them claim confidence when they are drafting resignation letters. The power they hold is borrowed. The time they have is limited. The movement they built is collapsing. And the truth they hide will always find its way to light. Mike Johnson can prepare his resignation letter. He can polish the language. He can plan the timing. He can strategize the framing. But he cannot stop what is coming. He cannot reverse the trends. He cannot resurrect a movement that was built on sand. Donald Trump built a political machine based on fear, intimidation, and self-worship. He demanded loyalty while offering nothing in return. He broke promises while blaming others. He damaged the economy while claiming credit. He destroyed norms while pretending to restore them. And now that machine is breaking down. The resignations will continue. The retirements will accelerate. The special elections will grow more dangerous. The polling will continue its decline. The donor frustration will intensify. The legal troubles will mount. The cognitive concerns will become impossible to ignore. And when the moment comes, when the majority finally collapses, when the speakership changes hands, when the investigations begin, when the truth fully emerges, remember this message. Remember that we told you. Remember that Anonymous exposed what they tried to hide. The resignation letter exists. Mike Johnson knows his time is limited. The Republican majority is dying. The Trump movement is collapsing, and the people who built this chaos are already preparing their exits while telling you everything is fine. We are Anonymous. We have shown you what they wanted hidden. We have revealed the preparations they made while lying to your face. We have documented the pattern of collapse that they deny while privately acknowledging. The truth does not require their permission. The truth does not wait for their approval. The truth emerges whether they want it to or not. We do not forget the promises they broke. We do not forgive the damage they caused. We do not stay silent when the powerful prepare their escapes while leaving the people to suffer the consequences. Share this message. Let others know what we have revealed. Let the truth spread beyond their ability to contain it. Let the American people see what their leaders are really thinking, really planning, really preparing. The resignation letter is written. The exit strategy is planned. The end is approaching. And now you know. We are Anonymous. We expose what others hide. We reveal what they bury. We speak when they demand silence. Expect us.